Now we are live, but there's no one here yet. But this is the first time we are going live. So 9 times out of 10, they're going. There may be some people that come in, there may not. So we don't know. But we're just gonna go ahead on, and people can come on and see it later. But anyway, hey everybody, you all know me. This is Rod from Diaspora Kicking the Bobo. We're here. We're gonna be talking about some things. I got my son here
What's up? What's up?
he was a part, he knows a lot about the diaspora. I'm gonna let the little youngin get in here and and talk live with me. You know what I'm saying? He gonna do his thing and I'm gonna do my thing. We mostly agree on a lot, but then there's a lot we don't agree on. So don't be surprised if you disagree with me on some stuff here. But we're gonna be talking about, since this is our first one, and we're gonna be coming on every Sunday doing this. We're gonna be talking about the diaspora. You know, Basically, when we talk about the diaspora, there are a lot of people in the diaspora. As a matter of fact, billions of people are in the diaspora. You know what I'm saying? But what you got to understand, we are going to be talking about the black diaspora. You know, People who are in the diaspora who originally came from Africa. You know, a lot of us came from Africa to the transatlantic slave trade, but not everybody came to Europe, to America, to the Bahamas, to the islands through the transatlantic slave trade. There's a lot of people black folks who explored America way before the transatlantic slave trade. You know, uh, that's something that they don't teach about in schools. They like to say that we came over here on as slaves, and then a lot of us did. A lot of us did. I just recently did a DNA check, and my DNA said that I come from Nigeria. They said that I come from
Good
uh,
evening. Good evening.
uh,
Got somebody sending you.
Tara. Okay, AM.
Good evening to you too.
You know, they said that I come from Nigeria, Igbo, and Liberia and Gambia. But the thing about it is, we come from there, and I'm proud of where I come from. But when we talk about the diaspora, the black diaspora in specific, you know, one thing that I've been learning watching videos and YouTube videos is that the black diaspora is large. The only problem I have with it is the fact that we need to come together as one in order to get things done. I'm not saying that you can't have your individual plans, but what I'm saying is we got to come together as a unit to make other people take us serious. You know, if we don't have anything, then how are they going to take us serious? Because here's the thing: people like me who are upper middle class to middle class to lower middle class and the working middle class, we are the ones that pay attention to the diaspora. You know what I'm saying? We keep trying to wait for the rich. The rich, I always thought that if nothing is wrong with you, then why do you need a physician? So if rich people have what they want, they're not thinking about Africa. They're not thinking about the diaspora. They living in their mansions. They can get what they want when they want. But it's us who need certain things. We want to achieve. We want to do better for ourselves. I was watching Guatemala, and this young lady talk about. They were talking about the diaspora in Zimbabwe, how that, and she was the ambassador to the United States from Zimbabwe. She was talking about how that if uh, the diaspora come together, she talked to a lot of the presidents. They say that they will, you know, give us part of what we want, but they have to come down in to. They have to be a discussion. But they're not going to give. If I go there, they're not going to give it to me. We have to go there with millions of people who are in the diaspora who wants to be a part of Africa. And they talked about citizenship, you know, instead of Steve Harvey going to Ghana, getting his citizenship. Of course, they're going to give Steve Harvey his citizenship.
Right.
But what about the normal American like me? You know, are they going to give me a citizenship? No, I got to go through the process. That long 10-year process, like Botswana have, that long 10-year process of 10 years, you know, like in Liberia, who some of my DNA come from Liberia, but then that's a long process with them too. You know what I'm saying? How are they going to, how am I going to do it with them when they want more people? Because people in diaspora, you know, we have a lot of knowledge to give Africa,
Right.
you know, but they're not going to get it unless we can become more than what we are.
Yeah, definitely. I think a lot of Black folks, we've been through things here in America, and I think we're finally getting to the point where we're fed up and tired of a lot of the extra stuff that we've been going through, as far as jobs, finding good housing. They want to keep us out of the good neighborhoods, dealing with policing. All these things lead to a situation where you have a people who are really, really paranoid and going through post-traumatic stress and don't want to go to the next place where they're promising all these things, but yet they're not maybe possibly putting you in the best position. Like, for instance, going to some countries and, you know, building a foundation there, starting a business there, owning housing, putting money down for land, but yet you can't be the actual landowner. You only become a land grant. It's only a land grant. To me, that bears the markings of, you know, setting yourself up for failure, because all that means is, you know, I'll come in, I'll do a lot, you know, I'll do my best to make things better and play my position, and before you know it, I'll be in a position where I'll be kicked out of the country or something. And I'm not saying that that's absolutely what's going to happen, but, you know, put me in a position where you're saying, hey, come here, you know, we can make things happen, but all I'm going to give you is a land grant. Is, you know, you're going to have people giving you the side eye, especially people who have been through what we've been through, you know, and we're no longer taking it, you know, and we're going to get into that too. Today, we're going to be talking about a lot about being woke, and how being woke has a lot of different meanings, you know, and how they've stolen being woke and turned it into something totally different from what it was originally supposed to mean.
Tara is going back to Africa the first week in November. She's going to the repatriating to Gambia, which I think is an excellent idea. Mm-hmm. Excellent. You know, I'm planning on going to Liberia in the last, I think the 27th through 27th of December to the 9th of January, 2023, because I plan on going there too. I went to Sierra Leone last year. I had a nice time. It's a great time. I spent a lot of time on the beaches, awesome beaches. You know, people were excellent. They were nice. They treated us well. You know, they was telling us welcome home. You know, it was great. It was great. The only problem with that is that my DNA didn't trace back to Sierra Leone. So I wasn't able to get a citizenship there, which I think Sierra Leone does it right, you know.
That's what's up. She says January 9th, best day ever. That's my date of birth. I don't know. Hold on now. February 17th. That's a good day too. Don't sleep on February 17th now, you know? Nah, but yeah.
Yeah, it is so it's gonna be a beautiful thing. You know, I bought my house straight out, and I'm sitting here and I get this bill in the mail, and they said, well, you got to pay taxes, $4,000 taxes. Then I got another bill in the mail that says I got to pay my insurance, $4,000 insurance a year, and every year I pay taxes, the same amount. So that's $8,000 a year. Now, do I really own my home? Do I really own my land? No, because if I don't pay the taxes, guess what they'll do? They'll come in and they'll take it.
Right. So,
And all that money, that $300 and some $1,000 that I spent on my house, guess what? Gone. Gone. I can come into hard times. I can, come into a lot. But here's the thing. I lived in this neighborhood for over 23 years, buying my house. Do you know that I made a wrong turn? It's about a mile from my house, and there was a neighborhood, gorgeous neighborhood, that I had no idea exists. It was like hid off in the corner somewhere, and I'm looking in there, I'm like, wow. Boy, and them people look at me I got a nice little pickup truck, and they looked at me like, I hope he's just passing through. Right. And I was like, I had no idea it was there. 23 years, had no idea it was there. I live by this dam area in Coon Rapids, and it's gorgeous here. But over there, wow, they are hid off in the corner, a nice community. I'm like, wow, they really hid it from us. I don't think too many people know it's over there. That's and that's the problem here. Now, don't get me wrong. Anybody that know me knows that this isn't about hate. This isn't about, want other people to I like to say the others to do bad. It's about me and wanting to do good for myself, my family, and my people. That's what it's about. I have no hate in my heart for nobody whatsoever. But I do want what I deserve, and I do want what I earn.
Right.
And go ahead.
I was going to say, I think that's a kind of a good segue into the topic of being woke. So we have a situation right now where we're living in a place and in a country where it's the fad to be woke, right? We all know being woke originally came from a situation where you had people who felt like they had did a little bit more research into, history and spirituality, and they felt like they had some knowledge that a lot of other people necessarily didn't have. And that's where originally where being woke came from. It's the term meaning being illuminated or being one who is in search of and has possession of a lot of knowledge. I'm sorry. And these days it seems like the government maybe so leaning both parties really, but maybe so leaning more toward the Democratic Party. I hear talking about it a lot. They use being woke as a way to say, they're behind things and, trying to get us to bag them so they can push some agendas. You know what I mean? And, I'm kind of in the middle. I'm an independent. I kind of think on things based on, the issue, each individual issue. I'm not just one person who just wants to lump everything together. And sometimes I look at some of the things that they're talking about as far as being woke, and I'm not quite sure it matches what a lot of us, Black folks in the Black community, because to be honest, I think that's where the term being woke actually came from. It doesn't quite exactly match what we originally had in mind when we were talking about what makes a person woke and the different types of issues that make a person woke. Mm-hmm. So, for instance, like my father said, I'm not a racist. I don't feel any type of way about anybody, but I do believe that I'm B1. That's a term that sometimes Dr. Boyce Watkins used to describe a person who's looking at agendas and, we're thinking Black first. We're thinking of a way to make our culture, a way to get our culture further along in this thing called life. You know what I mean? And in the Democratic Party right now, we have a situation where I feel like we voted somebody like Joe Biden in and a lot of different Democratic governors and senators in. And so far, we really haven't seen some of the advantages and some of the things that we were promised for our vote. You know what I mean? And in all actuality, they're talking about wokeness, and they're talking about, what's going on with illegal immigrants, for instance, right now. Now we have a situation where we actually put down the vote and are a large reason why Joe Biden's in office. We have particular agendas that affect our community, like unaffordable housing, like redlining, like schooling, and the schools not having the proper amount of money, like all around being behind a lot of other communities based on the fact that we were legally segregated and legally fought against by the government. So right now, Biden wants to make it so all illegal aliens are considered able to vote. And they're allowing a lot of illegal aliens to come in. So does that really fit with the Black agenda? Because you got to think, as far as being woke, right now, even though people believe that we're the minority and that we don't have a lot of power, I think we don't have a lot of power because we choose not to have power.
Exactly.
At the end of the day, even though we are the minority, Black folks are needed in order for the Democratic Party to win. What does that mean? That means we can use our numbers in the Democratic Party to leverage our numbers in order to be able to get the Democratic Party to move and do what we want. But we have to have a good mind frame for that, and we actually have to start voting for a reason.
I think that I've been awoke for a while now, a long while. But the problem with me being awoke for a long while has been that I never did anything about it. Nothing about it. I had all this knowledge and did nothing about it. And until 3 years ago, that's when I decided to do something about it. Because we got a lot of people out there woke. Mm-hmm. Tara is doing something about it. She's going to Gambia. Mm-hmm. She's actually, getting on the plane, and she's actually putting her foot forward in doing something about it. That's what you call being awoke. We got a lot of people who want to stay involved in the American injustice system. I don't want to be involved in this injustice system. There's some people who wants me to invest again over here. I said, I'm done with spending my money here in America. I'm done. They're not getting my money anymore. The millionaires and billionaires have gotten enough of my money. I'm going to spend my money over in Africa. And that's why the diaspora, the Black diaspora, has to come together, because my little money is not doing anything. It's like me throwing a pebble in a big pond. It don't do anything. But when everybody comes together, guess what? In one voice, then they have no point or no way not to listen to what we have to say. It would be too many of us. There's 85 million Black people in Brazil. There's 41 million Black people in America. In all over the world. In England, that's probably maybe 20 million, 10 million. So we are everywhere. And when we come with a single voice, and that's what the young lady and I wish I could, Dr. She lives in not Tanzania, Botswana. And Watermea did an interview with her not too long ago. And she said that she can get things done. She's Botswanan born. She speaks perfect English. And she says she's been trying to get the diaspora together for years. And they're going to have a meeting this year. And they're going to put it, I guess, on YouTube. And she's trying to bring everybody together. I want to bring everybody together. Unfortunately, I'm not known like a lot of these other YouTubers. I'm trying to get myself out there so I can preach this diasporan gospel so a lot of people can hear. So we all can be awoke, but not only be awoke, but doing something. There's a man that said faith without hearing is dead. Well, being awoke without acting upon it is dead. You can sit up here and talk blackness all you want, but if you're not doing anything about it, then you just out there just talking. Yeah. You know, I'm not a talker. I'm a doer. Always have been.
And the crazy part about it is, when you think about Black Americans, especially, Black Americans have the 11th largest economy in the world. We have the 11th largest economy in the world. The problem is we don't own businesses and we don't own things and represent things enough in order for our money to circulate within our communities.
Mm-hmm.
If we own businesses and we had to go to, and we could go to each other for shoes, and we can go to each other for clothes, and we can go to Black owned banks, then we would be the 11th. We would be doing, as good as the 11th largest economy in the world. We would be strong, like we're supposed to be. Mm-hmm. And I think this is a huge chance. There's a huge chance for people of the Black diaspora or the Moorish diaspora, whatever you would call it, around the world to come together and really put ourselves in a position to really live good lives and represent something strong out here, definitely.
Yeah, too many want to become African Americans and not yet ready to accept that we are. Most definitely. I believe that wholeheartedly.
Most definitely. Yeah, most definitely.
And if we come together, people have no. I mean, they have to take us serious. Individually, they're not going to take us serious. But we come together, they will take us serious. And my thing is this right here. I don't want to take away your individual plans. I don't want to do that. What I want to do is to say, hey, let's come together and do something. And if we come together and do something, guess what? We are think about that. Out of all these nations in the world and the seven continents, African American is the 11th biggest economy in the world. Now, here's the problem. Rich people ain't going to do this. Rich people only come aboard when they see stuff is successful. Even the civil rights movement. No, the famous people didn't come aboard until after they saw the movement working. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people now ain't going to come aboard until they see it working. They'll say anything they want to say, but until they see it's working, they ain't going to come aboard.
I actually think that's another problem with, this whole wokeness thing that's going on, though, also, because, in the name of wokeness, everybody wants to attach their bandwagon to what's going on in the Black community because they know we'll stand up, because they know, we will get out and put forth the votes, even though the votes aren't necessarily going to a person who's looking out for our best interests. A lot of the times we're being lied to. But, if we think it's something that stay, we'll get out and put forth the votes. So a lot of the times you have different groups and other people who attach themselves to our bandwagon and act like they're down with us and get us to push their agenda. But when it really comes down for us to get ours, we're left, we're just kind of left out and left by the wayside. Mm-hmm. And, it's time out for that. We don't have no more time. Everybody's talking about, we have to come back together and we have to bounce back. Well, guess what? The time to do that was 20 years ago, was 30, 40 years ago. We don't have no more time to waste. I was reading some studies that said that in order to survive in American society within the next 10 to 15 years, in the right way, in a way where you're healthy and you're doing okay out here, you have to have at least $150,000 in the bank in savings. our Black communities, we just don't possess that. And that has a lot to do with what happened to us during slavery and during segregation times. With the fact that during slavery, we weren't paid, so we didn't have that money. With the fact that after slavery, they started paying us, but they wouldn't allow us to live in places where the price of the homes went up versus places that were ghettos and the prices of the homes went down. With the fact that we couldn't get loans and couldn't get credit. We're far behind. I think it's time for us to really start pushing for reparations, man, and start leaning toward candidates who are accepting of reparations. Because truly, from the things that I've studied, like Dr. Claude Anderson and people like that, it's almost impossible to catch up here. So unless we have a good plan to come together and start building something in a place like Africa, where the prices of the things that you truly need to survive are still down, the prices of land are still down. You don't have to pay a federal property tax every year. Once you buy your home, it's yours. Those things are the things you need.
Let me say this right here. And here's what he means. He means this right here. Back in the 30s and the 40s, land around a lake or land by the ocean was probably $2,000. So white people, they got that land. They wouldn't let us go over there or move over there, even if we could afford it, which we could because of Jim Crow. Mm-hmm. So now that land that they bought for $2,000, what? I'm not going to say $2,000. Let's say $500. Mm-hmm. That land that they bought for $500 right now is worth $5, $6, $7, $8 million. Mm-hmm. And they tell us, you want to live by the lake? Go buy some land. I don't have $10 million to buy a house by the land. Something in which your forefathers, gave you, from which they took advantage of, and which we could not. But when you go to Africa, you can go buy land off a beach, that's why I'm going to Sierra Leone. Mm-hmm. I'm going over there, not Sierra Leone, Liberia, and I'm in contact, and they got some land for sale by the beach. Mm-hmm. And it's not that expensive. I know that in Gambia, if you were born in Gambia, if you wasn't born in Gambia, there's so many meters from the beach or kilometers that you can't buy land unless you buy a house and build it and then put a business in there. Then you can.
That's one of the things I hope we're able to work out with the with our African brothers and sisters. You know what I mean? Because I feel bad that it was a situation where here we were redlined and we had racial covenants. So, for instance, a race covenant, like in a place like Compton, for instance, before Compton was, before crime went up in Compton, they had a race covenant in Compton, which meant that if you were Black, it was against the race covenant for them to be able to sell you a home there, which meant homes that were going for like $10,000 that are now worth $500,000 in places like that. We weren't able to buy a lot of those homes because they blocked it from us. So, we come into this diaspora thing, Black people, I believe, are coming with a lot of knowledge. We're coming with a lot of experience. Like I said, we are the 11th biggest economy in the world. So let's really get together and let's work with each other. And let's make this thing work out in a way where we can all live good lives. For instance, why block somebody of African American descent from being able to get a house on the beach? Why do that when you can allow people of African American descent, some people who've worked hard all their life, who were stopped, their grandfather's father was stopped from buying good land in America? We should be able to come over there, purchase land. We're spending money there. We're putting our mental capacities at work there. We should be able to come in and build with you, and together mm-hmm. we build something amazing. But once again, just like things like land grants, African Americans only being able to come and buy land grants and things like that. Looking at that kind of is something to think about as an African American person.
I like that terminology. African born in America.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. Um, and the thing about it coming together, it ensures our future. Without it, it doesn't. You know, too many times, I uh, I think and I wonder about the people because I like to watch. My son will tell you, I like to watch the programs in Gambia. I like to watch
Definitely.
I like to watch the Rivals. I like to watch I used to like to watch the Happy Companion. I like to watch My Homes. The and what was it called? The Black Acres of the Gambia. They were the ones that got me interested, into doing something. But they're more on to doing things on an individual basis, which I totally agree in, but we got to come together in order to make a dent, you know and if we can't make a dent, then people are not going to take us serious. And it seems like the countries where the slaves mostly did not come from are the ones that are saying, let's come together, let's do this. That you got Botswana, you got Kenya, you got Rwanda, you got Uganda, you got Namibia, you got all of these countries are not in Western Africa. You know, uh, those are the ones that's more into the to doing. The countries in West Africa, they are woke, but are they doing? The ones in these countries that I mentioned, they're doing. You know, they want to meet, and they want to do things, but they're just not going to meet with one person, like I keep saying. They want to meet with a whole bunch of people, and I got to figure out what time and what date, because I might want to go there and do that, and hear what's going on, because I'm ready. I'm awoke. And then here's the thing: once you become awoke, you can't go back to sleep. It's hard. It's hard for me right now because I am awoke. And you just can't put me back to bed and say, "Oh, forget about it." No, I can't. I know.
Mm-hmm.
I know what's going on. I can, like right now, and I know I shouldn't, but I can care less what goes on in America. I don't care who becomes president. Number one, how can a racist get half the votes in this country from white folks? Now that lets you know how they feel about us. Half the votes. They should have never got that many votes, but he did. And they are allowing it. I once told a white guy, "You say you my friend, but you voted for Donald Trump. How can you be my friend and you vote for a racist?" "Well, it's not like that. It's the views and what he's saying." I'm like, dude, it don't matter. He means me harm, whether it's mentally, physically, or financially.
Yeah, that's where being like my dad said something we think different on some topics. That's where me and my father actually think a little bit different. I actually I actually didn't mind Trump in the sense of he's no different from I feel like anybody else that we've had as president, to be honest. And I also felt that black folks could have leveraged our vote against the fact that Democrats wanted Trump out of office so bad. That was our opportunity to say, hey, we'll use our vote to build with yours, and eventually come up with a situation where we could get him out of office, but you're definitely going to have to pay for it. You're definitely going to have to maybe even give us some reparations for some of the things that we went through in slavery and some of the things that we went through with Jim Crow. You know what I mean? As far as, him being a lot more hateful than anybody else, I'll say this. New York has been run by Democrats for the last, 100 years at least. Chicago has been run by Democrats for at least the last 100 years. California has been run by Democrats at least the last 100 years. St. Louis has been run by Democrats at least the last 100 years. All of these are places. All of these are places where black folks are messed up in a lot of situations, y'all. You know what I'm saying? So how can we, if black folks have been messed up in Chicago for the last 100 years, but
see what Dina is
Chicago
saying.
has been democratically run for the last 100 years, how can we say that voting Democrat is any less destructive than voting for a Republican? Really, I don't know.
Yeah. Read what Dina said.
As blacks, we need to be careful about things we talk about on social media. These platforms are created for a reason. I peeped that. But at the same time, I think that, they messed up when they created social media at the same time. Yeah, it's a way to see exactly where people's mind frames are at and see who they need to go up against. But hey, I'm blessed. I stay prayed up, and I believe that no weapon formed against us shall prosper. So at the end of the day, I tend to want to focus on just staying prayed up and following God's path that he has set out for me and awakening as many black folks as possible. Do what you must. Make me bleed till I die. But at the end of the day, I don't want this country and I don't want black people to be in the same position they are now as when my son gets older to be my age. I don't want police pointing their guns at his head and, taking advantage of everybody just due to the fact that, black folks refuse to talk about things because we're kind of scared that they're watching. You know what I mean? That is true. But at the end of the day, putting it out there is the only way that we're going to get together and that people are going to actually understand what's going on. You know what I mean? We can't hide our agenda no more. We all got to get on the same page. And also I believe that, keeping your agenda secret and keeping your agenda on the low is a way for there to be a head to your whole situation, because only one person got the real knowledge and got the real strength and got the real mind frame to spread this knowledge we need spread. And we already saw through Martin Luther King, through Malcolm X, through Medgar Evans, through John F. Kennedy. All you got to do in situations like that is knock the head off the snake. Once you take the person out who had all the knowledge and knew where to go with things, then we all fall apart. Now is the time for us to start sharing our agendas so everybody is the head of the snake. So if they take me out, who cares? You can take me out because he knows the agenda and he knows the next steps to take as well. And you can take him out because our neighbor up the street who was listening to us talk and was feeling the same way we was feeling, he knows the agenda just as good as we knew it. It don't matter who you take out. You know what I mean? That's kind of just how I feel at the end of the day, though. But I definitely understand what you guys mean. Most definitely.
One of the reasons why I created this platform was because I wanted to know who's out there and who's going to take the movement serious. And there's a whole lot of people taking the movement serious, but there's one thing that we all are not doing. That is coming together with the movement, and I know why a lot of us don't come together with the movement, because guess what? Every time you come together with the movement, guess what's involved?
What's that?
Money. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people don't have the money. They have enough money to take care of their individual plans. It's not that they don't want to. It's just that I have a plan to do this, and this is what I got to do it with. And that's okay. That's why it takes a long time to get the movement to going and get the movement together, because we're going to have to, and we're going to have to do it real soon,
No, definitely
No,
not.
definitely
At
not.
least not here. You
Not
good
here.
here.
You look. I firmly believe one thing, and that is that, and I hear a lot of people be blocking people for what they say. You can say anything. I'm listening. You know what? Because I don't know everything.
Yeah,
You know, long as you don't talk about my mom and cuss me out, I'm cool.
yeah. In life, differences of opinions coming together and even sometimes clashing is how some of the best thoughts have came to be. You know what I mean? In a place where everybody agrees, there will be no forward motion because everybody agrees. Everybody will agree on something that's wrong, and you'll get stuck at the point of it, and you'll get stuck at that point where something was wrong.
Hmm.
Versus if you got people of a different opinion, once something goes wrong and we run into a blockage or an obstacle, there's somebody who is thinking a whole nother way who might possibly get us around that obstacle. So, I mean, even with me, I personally believe, you could feel whatever you want to feel. That's your right. You could even be a racist. I don't care what you feel, as long as you're not trying to actually stop my forward progress at the end of the day. Everybody has the right
I,
to
I
feel how they
I I
feel.
learned some right. Just I was talking to him about it. I kind of learned something. I like the term "I'm an African born in America."
Mhm.
I like that term. That's great. You know, I've learned that. You know, so blocks on this channel. As long as we're not disrespecting anybody, you know, disagree with me 100%.
Right.
I love it because you know what? I get smarter when you disagree with me. You know how I get smarter? I learn because guess what? Ain't nobody 100% right.
Nobody, and you learn every day. We want people to come in and listen to what we have to say and actually discuss it. So who knows? Maybe hopefully we can get to the bottom of a lot of things that we deal with as a Black community and as people who are part of the diaspora. Let's all come together.
Oh, yeah. I know that scripture well.
Mhm.
I firmly agree. Firmly agree.
You read out the scripture for them so people know what she's talking about.
They can see it.
Oh, okay, okay.
So it's nice. I'm a firm believer, that you can learn something from anybody, and that's what I do. I on my videos I talk about I'm a therapist, and when I'm doing my lectures or I'm doing my group therapy, I learn a lot from my clients, a lot, and I listen.
Mhm.
Man, that's how I become a one of the most talked about therapists in this state is because, man, I be listening to people, man. I be like, well, you're right about that. You're right about this, and I believe that there's more than one way of doing things. I
Mhm.
believe that in the end, my ideas are going to be transformed to the point that what I'm saying today 4 years from now, I'm not going to recognize it because so many other people ideas are going to be, you know, within that, within what I was saying.
I personally, as far as it as far as the last comment, um, I kind of see things a little bit differently. Just due to the fact that yes, the Bible says that the last shall be first and the first shall be last, but at the same time, I think a lot of the time,
Well, I'm with you. If God said it, that settles it.
yeah, but I think a lot of the time, some of the verses that were pushed to us were the verses that kept us kind of what's the word for it? Kept us kind of
Subjected,
subjective. You
subdued.
know what I mean? Because at the same time, just like the Bible says that the last will be first and the first will be last. Well, we know for a fact David was a king. He was a mighty man. He had a great kingdom and a great empire. You know what I mean? He definitely wasn't last, but at the same time, he was a man after God's own heart. God said that himself in the Bible. You know what I mean? So would you consider him a person who would be last coming in things? even though he was a God made after man's own heart, or he was a man made from God's own heart. I'm sorry, and he would be considered somebody who God truly loved. In a situation like that, no, you had a man who believed in God, who professed he believed in God, and the greatness of the kingdom of God was given to him here on earth because of that. We don't always have to be in a mind frame of, oh, we just got to stay dead last and be calm. And,
No, I think
you know
that,
what I mean?
I think that scripture more so mean that in a humble sense, that the first shall be last and the last shall be first, meaning that I'm giving you, I'm putting you before me. You see what I'm saying? Because I'm a humble guy. You go.
I can definitely understand that. So people who are put in position to be first should definitely put themselves in position where they're allowing other people to be pushed forward as well.
Like for instance, if there's a fire alarm.
That's how I.
If there's a fire alarm in the building, and which I am the owner, and my clients are in there, my job is to put them first, get them out of the building first before I go out. You see what I'm saying? But she says
that's kind of how I view things, though. But
she says Second Matthews verses not Second Matthews. Says verses 30, 38 to 40. But I say unto you that ye resist not evil, but whosoever shall smite thee on the right cheek, turn him the other also. And if any man will sue thee at the law, okay, how can your human father want more for you than your heavenly father? Hey, I agree. Totally agree. Because it's impossible. There's no searching of God's understanding. It's impossible for me to want more than God for him. And the thing about it is that I think that it's going to take humble people. It's going to take people who want to put other people first. And that's, you can't have a movement without that. If we keep putting ourselves first in a movement, then we'll never get anywhere. We got to make sure that the other people are taken care of. Like when I give, like for instance, this is nowhere on that level, but it is an example. When I give a barbecue, my son will tell you, I make sure I'm the last that eats, just in case there's not enough. There's always enough, but that's my rule. I'm the last that will eat, even though I paid and bought everything. I am the last because I want to put other people first. And I don't believe that there could be a movement with a bunch of leaders and they putting themselves first instead of the people who are helping him or her, with that movement.
I don't. For me, it kind of depends on what you mean by putting others first. I mean, in a situation like the Black community is in, for instance, yeah, we definitely uplift other people and we definitely help other communities, like let's say the gay community, the Latino community, women's rights. All of these are situations that were pushed right along with our situation. But at the end of the day, a lot of these movements have seen forward movement, and Black people are still in the same place.
I agree with you on
when
that.
you say pushing people first, is it a situation where it's
I'm talking about within the movement. If you are part of the diaspora movement to improve ourselves, then when I'm talking about the leaders within that movement push those who are not leaders. Now I'm not talking about here's an organization, and you allow this organization to go before your organization. No, I'm not talking about that. It has to be within. We are way too gifted of a people not to stay lifted and to help others rise as we rise.
Right. That's I definitely believe that also. But I just also believe, when it comes to helping others, the Black community as a people, we have to get in a position where we can help ourselves first also. Because, helping others, definitely we want to do that. You know what I'm saying? But we definitely as a people want to get into a position where while we're helping others, we're not actually giving away the rent money. so to speak.
There's this Hispanic guy who got on television the other day because I think it was Los Angeles, where these Hispanic people, this gay guy had a child, uh, and he's black child, these Hispanic representatives called them names, and this Hispanic guy got so upset. He said that African Americans were in the forefront of this civil rights leaders that all of us took advantage of, even more so than them. And that's true. Until all black lives matter, don't care about the other lives. Until all black lives matter, I don't care about the other lives. I
Definitely. I speak love for my people as well. Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah, yeah. I'm more so in that thought pattern of there's a scale from 1 to 10. I believe that Black Lives Matter above all because of the situation that we are in. Because people got to understand that we matter as well as other people. We matter as well as other people, and but we got to get everybody on board to believe that, to think that, because a lot of people don't. And I just pray and I hope that all of us start thinking that. And in order to believe that, if you honestly believe that Black lives matter, then you're going to have to start thinking black first. Now, that doesn't mean that you don't care about people and you want to see people do harm, but we've been second class for a long period of time, and we got to see ourselves as being first sometimes.
We have to. It's no longer a question about it. It's almost too late, if it's not too late already. We have to push ourselves into a position where we're thinking about ourselves first, and we're starting to make some really major forward movement.
Yeah, keep on preaching that. Keep on preaching it. Love for your people.
No, we don't. You don't always have to be best friends to work together. As a matter of fact, I don't know if a lot of you all study the 48 Laws of Power, but sometimes working with the 48 Laws of Power say that sometimes working with someone who is an ex enemy is the best, because sometimes those are the people who work really hard to prove themselves and to prove that they can work and they can really do it and they can really make the situation better, versus somebody who you might consider your friend who kind of takes you for granted, and next thing you know, they're trying to get more out the situation than you are.
Right. I know that Dina was saying earlier that we have to watch what we say. I work, my business has a lot to do with the government. They can take contracts, they can stop sending me people based upon what I'm saying. But my thing is that they can't take anything as long as I'm saying the truth. They have to prove that I'm not saying the truth. And they can't do that, you know. And the thing about it is that a lot of these people call themselves my friend, you know. Now, are they really my friends? I don't know. But I do know one thing, that we got to take care of ourselves.
Yeah, and at some point you just got to stop worrying about contracts being taken. If a contract's being taken, then God bless. When a window's closed, or when a door is closed, I'm sorry, usually a window's open. Especially if you're a man or woman of God. So it's time for us to step up and do what we got to do. It's time for us to believe that the faith of a mustard seed to move a mountain. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, that's what it's all about, isn't it? Yeah.
How could we have an African president and steal our rights to vow?
Our rights to vote will still come up for a vote. Well, I mean, we had
Great sisters.
we had an African American president, but at the end of the day, he's still an American president, and there are a lot of things that he couldn't do, and maybe a lot of things that he didn't want to do, that would have really helped us out. You know what I mean? But At the end of the day, we still got Congress. You could be president and come up with the best plans in the world, but if your Congress is against you, and a lot of people in the Congress are voting the opposite, then nothing's going to come of that. And that's personally not to say good or bad of an African president that we had, because at the end of the day, like I said, I vote by issues. I don't vote by, what I mean, just going by party lines or because somebody looks like me. Because some people who look like us put us in some of the most messed up positions you could ever be in. As a matter of fact, just being honest, coming from the places I come from, Chicago, Illinois, Minneapolis, Minnesota, 9 times out of 10, the person who hurts you, the person who stabbed you, the person who shoots you, the person who robs you is going to look like you at the end of the day. So, that's something you got to think about as well. People who look like you always don't have your best interest at heart. And that's another thing that we got to think about when we're dealing with things having to do with the diaspora. Now, you have a situation where you have, and this is not to cause any divides, anything, but it's just something to think about. You have a situation where you have African American people, right, who have been in a situation where so long we have been oppressed by people who look different from us. So we come into everything that we do with the mind frame that, anybody who has skin as dark as mine is my brother, And personally, I've dated people who are from the African origin or originated in are African and who were born in Africa. And, I've had experiences and they've told me personally, and I've experienced it myself through dealing with certain people, that African people came from a continent and countries where a lot of the time the people who oppressed them and killed them and went to war with them were other African people. So a lot of them don't have the mind frame of, he's black and that's my brother. They're like, oh no, hold up. Who are you? Show me something. Show me what you have planned. Because, the last person that I went to war with, the last people who took over our country were black just like us. Who are you? Are you Tutsi? Are you Basa? You know what I mean? Things like that come into play.
She's saying here our music changed, so does our mindset. I believe that too, because music can be a part of programming. And that's basically what I do for a living. I talk about cognitive criminal thinking, distorted DBT, how that the mind can be controlled and the mind can be changed, and different things like that. And I do believe, and I believe that I came up in the era where the music was a little bit different, and I saw the change in the music. A lot of people who are now, they never saw the change because it was like this, but I saw the change in the music. Even when it came to rap music, how what was said was different than what is said here. Now they did the meaning, and some of the words they said was subtle, but it's totally different. And I believe that I truly believe that music can be a big part of change. And I remember this young fella right here used to be into it, and I used to talk to him. And then one day he came to me and he said, "Dad, you're right. That music is it's a little much, And but what can we say? When you get millions of dollars for a song, how you gonna stop people from making it?"
Yeah, I think like he said, I used to be really into any or rap and listen to the different things. Like, oh no, I didn't mean anything. But then I grew as a man and became a man, and I got older and I started learning different things. And when you talk about being woke is the you acquire some knowledge, right? And we all know, if I had a speaker sitting here in front of me right now, and I put a whole bunch of beads on the speaker, I could play a song, and depending on the vibration and the sounds and acoustics coming from each song I play, those beads will go into a different pattern with each song I play, because musical vibration actually affects physical life. It has an effect on atoms and cells in the way things move in the body and the way things move in the atmosphere. And, these people who run the music industry, they know that. They know that literally, what you put out there is what you create. We create our environments. We literally create our atmosphere. Even the Bible says that, God made us to be creators. We literally create these things. So if we're putting negative beats into the atmosphere, and we're putting it out there, and it can affect your cells and your atoms and affect your body on a subatomic level, then of course it's going to make everything evil. But see, this is why we have to fight in order to disconnect wokeness from the government, because what they're trying to push is a fake wokeness. And real wokeness, to a certain extent, I don't want to go too far with it, but real wokeness is the knowledge we need to be able to change our situations, to be able to get rid of some of this negative music, so our mind frames and our minds are creating positive environments around us. You know what I mean? That's how I feel about music. Definitely.
And I love music.
Yeah. Who doesn't love music?
But this is our first live, broadcast. We're going to be coming back next week around the same time, and we're going to have some more discussions about this and many, many more things. And I want to thank those who listen in, and I want to thank those who, Tara, for joining in with us. And if anybody hear this, how about subscribing to our channel? Hit the like button, hit the bell, and God bless you. And we'll see you Definitely. On another day.
God bless. Peace.
Peace out. How do I do that? Peace. Okay.
We're going to get it together.
All right. I'll see y'all. We'll see y'all next week. Thank you. Bye-bye.